Good morning, everybody. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that collaboration in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And good morning, Ryan Knight on the Morning Vibe. How are you?
Very good, very good. Let me know if I'm coming in okay, because I know my internet is a battle this morning.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a delay, but we can hear you.
Okay. Excellent. And for those that don't know who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network. We help entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage figure out what stage their business is in and then help them to grow their companies exponentially. We help them get access to funding through our microloan program and our marketing and sales social enterprise, the ACBN Creative Works Agency. So if you are an entrepreneur and looking to get, whether it's up to 25,000 or even up to 250,000, there's so many different loan programs and grant programs. Definitely get in contact with us. Check out our website, acbncanada.com, and we will help you grow.
All right, let's get to our regular Monday vibe, and that is this. So this episode of The Morning Vibe is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999, buying, refinancing, or investing. There are the numbers there, Canada 905-813-4354, US 904-586-5636. And that is a Monday staple, as we like to call it, on The Morning Vibe. Also, we'd like to say, just give them a little bit more pub because they've been a sponsor for so long, and it's a beautiful thing. They're the phone numbers, Canada, US, also toll-free North America, 866-883-0885, website, themacmillangroupinc.com, and email, raycmcmillan@gmail.com. And Ryan did not make it for Friday's show, no problem, but Ray McMillan was on dropping knowledge bombs as usual, and Ray made a point that he's been on once a month for a year now. So not only been a sponsor for a long time, but he's made an appearance once a month.
Yes.
Yeah, once a month for a year, talking about mortgage financing, etc. for a year. So that's fantastic. So thank you, Ray, for your continuous support, you and Stefan and the organization for your continuous support. So what's been going on in your world, Ryan?
Yeah, and sorry for missing Friday. The morning routine with the kids is back. So sometimes the walks and stuff was happening at school, so wasn't able to make it. But thanks to Ray, always appreciate the knowledge that he supports us with. But this weekend was heavy. I mean, there was at least 4 and I think actually 5 events happening just on the Saturday. So I'm going to try and do a rundown. So there was the Toronto Business Summit. Sean Allen from Matrix Mortgage was putting on one of the bigger business conferences that I've seen, and it was at UFT Scarborough campus. Really excellently done. I would say that's the standard for how to do conferences. So shout out to the team there. Also, there was the Icon Talent Partners. They were doing an event for graduates that are looking for employment in corporate Canada. So shout out to Derek Raphael and his team there. United Achievers was doing their scholarship event. So shout out to United Achievers. And there was also, oh my goodness, I'm spacing on the name. There was an event at the JCA, but I forget what it was called. So the Jamaica Canadian Association had an event as well. And there was the Black Healthcare Professionals Network directory launch and networking event where I was able to see my colleague, Dr. Vibe there, and also Bernadette from Nova Scotia was in town. So we got to attend together. So yeah, Saturday was heavy. And then Sunday was light. Got to just hang out with the kids, got to visit my parents and relax. But it was good.
Good. So of those Saturday events, how many of
Yes.
those did you make it to?
2.5. So we drove
It's a
by
half
one.
event.
The half one, we drove by it, but it had ended. So we're like, oh, sorry, we couldn't make it. And then we headed downtown because we went from Scarborough, where the Toronto Business Summit was happening, at U of T, down to U of T downtown at Chestnut, their new conference center. So that's where the Black Health
That's
Professionals.
an interesting place because
Mhm.
it's you think you're going to a hotel, but it's really a residence place.
Yeah, because I think it used to be a Holiday Inn, and then
Yes,
they
I
converted
believe
it,
so. The
right?
Holiday Inn downtown, and
Yeah.
going there because when I went in there, and it'd been a while because I don't go downtown that often, family. I don't.
Yes.
I don't do that. I'm going, am I at the right place? And then once I
Mm.
come, like I get close to the doors, I see young people in shorts and flip flops. I go, okay,
Right, and
I'm
the
at the
ping
right
pong was
place.
going down. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, ping pong table, billiards. I go, okay, I'm at the right place. So,
Yes.
uh, yeah, definitely made it out. I made it out to that
Mm.
event on the Saturday. Had a great conversation with the Minister of Diversity, Honorable Camille Cara. She actually invited me to come and meet her. So
Oh,
I said,
nice.
okay,
Brampton.
Minister, we come. And the nice thing is,
Mm.
no one knew outside of the host who she was. So it was so
Really?
good because when she came in, she goes, Dr. Vibe. And so we had a good 15, 20-minute talk, and no one knew after. And I said to her, Minister, isn't it great to go to a place and you're not being mauled by people? He goes, yeah, it's fantastic. It's great and
Right,
all
right,
that.
right.
So, and then, okay. So for people who are regular family here on the Morning Vibe, I always tell you how Ryan is a media personality. So Ryan's having a conversation with someone and they go, this is you.
Right. Oh, no, did she say, this is he?
This is he. This is he. See these two people who don't know each other having a conversation. And this lady who was speaking with Ryan, her husband had met
Mm.
Ryan, and her
Yes.
husband told her about Ryan, and just go, this is he.
And she was saying that she was talking about me at that event with somebody else, but not knowing, I don't remember the name or the organization. And so when I was talking with her, she's like, wait a minute, I was just
African
talking about you.
African Canadian Heritage Association, which has been around
Yes.
for 50 years.
Whew. Okay.
50 years. AXA has been around. Lindis, that's the lady's name, Lindis, and she
Yes.
has been a tireless,
Mm.
committed, wonderful support for that organization. I think she's said for 30 years.
That is longevity, and that's where
Absolutely.
persistence is key, right?
Absolutely. And I think she's got the Dr. Vibe look now too.
Ah, true,
So
true,
it's
yes.
so it's all good. So before we go any further, let's say good morning to some family. Good morning, Aldafina Wilson. Good morning, Fitness IQ. Again, morning, gentlemen and family. Frequency Event Promotions is in the house. Also says, great seeing you at the Business Summit, Ryan. The event was a great event for Scarborough.
And yeah, Scarborough represented. That was
Yeah,
excellent.
Shirley J. Good morning, everybody. Shirley runs the Black Canadian Content Creators family, and good to have you here this morning. Good morning, Opal Inspired. We got some of the regs in the house. Fantastic. And before we go any further, some more little, I guess, housekeeping to do. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And many of you are. Those who haven't, please do.
And
Also,
while
if you
you're
want,
watching and Dr. Vibe is going through the motions, hit the like button. That helps
yes,
spread the
like
word to your
that helps
network.
the algorithm.
Hit that.
Yes, that's
Yes.
very important. Thank you, Media Star, and to advertise your
I'm
business or
learning. I'm
service.
learning.
No, whatever. To advertise your business or service on the Dr. Vibe Show, please contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, want to encourage you to join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me again, dr.vibe at dr. at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. I've been putting some more stories into the Discord group, people, wanting you to have conversations about. So would love you to
And
be part of that.
yeah, speaking
Go ahead.
of learning, at the Toronto Business Summit, there's a platform that I still think us as a community and business owners are underutilizing, and that is LinkedIn. So there was a session, and Laura Scarlett, she was one of the presenters of the conference. She's part of Matrix Mortgage, but she was talking about how to use AI for LinkedIn, and I was blown away. So for those that really want to supercharge your LinkedIn presence and getting connections and engaging and building your business, definitely check how you can use AI to boost LinkedIn. We're going to try and do AI for LinkedIn workshop in October, so stay tuned for that. But there's so many gems dropped at the conference and so much powerful people in the room. I think that's what we need more of in the community for sure.
Good stuff. Some Frequency Event Promotion says, hi, Shirley J. Tim Frey says, good morning. What part of the world are you in, Tim? We're always going to ask, where are you?
True.
Oh, Orlando Forbes. Good morning, guys. So the link seems to be doing a little dance. Okay. And Frequency Event Promotion says, hashtag Tim Frey. Good greetings, good sir. All right. See, and Ryan says, you are right, Ryan. Well, I always love when people drop gems. The thing is, are they going to put them to action? At least one of those things. Like so a little bit of Dr. Vibe game here. Everyone who gave me their business card, I reached out to them. I told them I'd reach out to them within 48 hours. I did it in less than 24. Done.
Yes.
So follow up and follow through. And that's another thing, again, the whole, and it has been a while since we talked about it. Do people still use business cards?
I think it has its place. There's a certain professionalism with having a business card. At least you're not scrambling, or have that one of those apps that are on your phone that people can scan your QR code. If you don't have either, there's really no excuse. Like at minimum, one of the two.
Actually, it's interesting because people gave me their business card, and also one of the panelists at the Black Professional Health Network's launch, Dr. Joan. She was actually one of the panelists. Yes, Samuels. And she said, let's put up my phone and scan my QR code. Bam. She did it that way. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, Frequency Event Promotions says we believe in paper business cards 100%.
Yes.
There you go. So yeah, it was a good, very interesting one. Like, I don't go to too many events these days, but the Black Professionals Health Network was certainly worth going to, and it was well done. Good to meet people I had never met before. I love going to events where I don't know many people and they don't know me. So that's
right. And so shout out to Abena and Dr. White, I think.
Nikolai White.
Okay, and Eldon Holder Jr. was there emceeing, and he's part of the team. So shout out to the entire BHPN team. And if you are a healthcare professional, definitely check out bhpn.ca to get into the directory. And they also do business supports to help you with your business operations and growing your practice. So definitely check out that website. And they were on, which day were they on so that people can go check the
replay? Well, no, the replay for their conversation was put up on Friday. So the replay is on YouTube. If you go to my website, the replay is on there too, audio and video wise. So it was, as I said, I think I'd mentioned before, I was really humbled that their publicist, I had done something with them back in February this year, or something in regards to Black health. And then she said, it was so good, I wanted to reach out to you first, media-wise, in regards to the conversation. So thank you, Anita Wong.
You're top of mind in the media.
Well, I just tag along from your. I learned from you. Good to. Big thanks to Anita Wong for making that happen, and thank you to Minister Diversity again, Camille Cara, for inviting me. It was great, and also meeting her and her assistant. It was really good, and I've also they sent thanks to both of them directly.
Excellent. So speaking of ministers, those might have seen on my LinkedIn, there is a new Minister of Small Business, MP Richie Valdez, out of Streetsville. So we got to sit down and talk about the Black entrepreneurship ecosystem and giving some case story, not case studies, but success stories from some of the other organizations to let them know this program is really important. But beyond that, how the small business minister can support Black businesses. So it was a great chat, and we're actually planning an additional meeting in October for Small Business Month. And she's been invited to the Dr. Vibe show for Small Business Month. So we'll look out for that in October. We got to just finalize a date.
So let's see if your social media game is up. Do you know what she celebrated yesterday or over the weekend?
No, I missed it.
It was her birthday.
Come on. Oh, that's awesome.
So Ryan Knight, suggestion, send her a belated happy birthday message. Just a thought.
Actually, I'll send her maybe a card from Ebony Occasions so that she can see some Black businesses that have, yes.
Or even better, video message. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay, before we get our new friend, well, Ryan's known him for a while, but let's do a few last things. Sorry, hashtag Christopher Lawrence, fourth industrial revolution equals digital. Hashtag just Google me. That sounds like it was from the conference. Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Is that what people are saying? Just Google me? No, that would not fly. I do not subscribe to that. Because Google is not always your friend. So you don't want people Googling you all the time.
Oh, Ricardo Forbes says, I'm currently in Jamaica right now. Enjoy. And then Tim Frey, just my opinion. What is just your opinion? Okay. And then Frequency Event Pro says, you're right, Tim Frey. However, I believe both in digital and paper, but digital has taken over. Yes, I think it's talking about, I think they're talking about the business card thing. Okay. Yes. And then Elaine Chin, good morning, guys. First time? If you're a first timer, like wherever you're watching the conversation so you keep updated on us. All right. Our friend for today is probably saying, you guys are babbling too much. Let me on. Oh, one last thing before we go live. We're going to be doing a promo for Frequency Event Promotions Network Mixer that's happening this Wednesday. Anyone who makes a comment goes into a draw to win a free ticket to this Wednesday's event. So if you've commented and you want to go to the event this Wednesday in Toronto, you've qualified. All right, Ryan, you do the intro.
Absolutely. And when we invited our guest on, I was racking my brain of where we exactly met, because our guest is from Chicago. And I remember I was working at the city of Brampton in their small business office. And there was a webinar about entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. And our guest was one of the speakers. And I said, I need to get this gentleman engaged with what we're doing in Brampton for entrepreneurship. So we invited him to do a training at our office. And the conversation, I felt, missed the mark with the audience. Brampton was not ready to understand social enterprise, and we didn't engage fully with what he was talking about. And when you hear his story and how he's built the so he runs a nonprofit, but they have a social enterprise that they've been able to grow in leaps and bounds. And he also teaches other nonprofits how to start social enterprise. So you're not begging the government for money all the time and always kind of trapped in that funding cycle. You can be self-sustainable with building up your social enterprise and making money for yourself that is unrestricted, and you can use it how you need it. So our guest today is Brian Jenkins from Entrenuity and also Moxie Cafe. Thank you for taking the time this morning. So I know what time is it in Chicago?
It's 8:20 in the morning.
Hey, we appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Chi-Town.
Chi-Town in the house. So.
Yes.
You got it. Chi-Town in the house. Well, for me, it's the first time I'm meeting you, and it's actually a pleasure and honor to meet you today. And probably for a lot of our family, it's the first time. Can you share a little bit about your background with our family today before we get into more of a conversation?
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on. It's been a great opportunity. I was able to catch a couple of your previous podcasts, and I resonate with everything that you guys are doing. So really appreciate this opportunity. But my story is kind of unique. I started in the area of entrepreneurship education here in Chicago, primarily focused on the west and south side. So if you know Chicago's geography, that's pretty much black and brown. And working with students being from anywhere between, I would say, about fifth grade up to like high school, really wanting to teach them the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. And that started I've been in this industry almost 30 years now.
Wow.
It was not the plan. It was not the goal. It was none of that. People come and they look at some of the things that we've been able to accomplish. And, I'm a faith-driven person. So that's, I give a lot of credit, to my, as far as my faith is concerned. But the thing is that's unique for me is that this was never a plan. This was a opportunity that I saw to help teach entrepreneurship principles and fundamentals, and from where we were then to where we are right now is, in my opinion, nothing short of a miracle. And so that's about. I probably met Ryan. He was really young. I don't think he had any gray. So probably in the 20,
man, we need to get pictures of that, by the way.
Yeah, I have. I think I have.
2014, almost 10 years ago.
2014. Okay, good. I didn't even realize it. So, but it was good. I mean, it was one of those deals where, I really wanted what I saw, and I came out of grad school in the area of theology. One thing that I missed in working with a lot of churches and ministries and organizations was that there was almost a lack of economic opportunity in a sense of teaching economics and teaching about entrepreneurship principles. And other than just, here in the U.S. being a traditional church where you worship and you do all these, great things, but the element of how, my purpose and my calling was to really help people come out of, to improve their lives and improve their who they are as a whole. And that's where I've been these past 30 years. And it's pretty interesting, to say the least.
Love that.
How did you transition from theologic world to like entrepreneurship? And the funny thing is, when you're running a church, you're running a company. People don't realize it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So how did that transition happen?
Truth be told, I was pursuing my wife.
All right.
Now we celebrate 29 years of marriage in October next month. But truth be told, she was running. Her name is Dr. Jenkins, and full credit to my wife. She's a music teacher here in Chicago, in Chicago public schools. But at the time, she was running a program on the west side of Chicago designed to help primarily Black students get scholarships to go to college. And they brought in an entrepreneurship program as one of like the after school programs, to offer to students. And I was truly shocked. I was like, wow, these are the fundamentals, these are the principles that I learned growing up in my parents' house. My dad was, old school kind of guy in a sense, like, if you want to earn extra money, here's the work, go out there and do it. So I cut a lot of grass, did a lot of lawn work, with his equipment. He let me know it's his equipment. But those are the things that you just learn in principle that you oftentimes didn't know what was being ingrained in you. And so that's what I did. And so when I came and met my wife and I saw this entrepreneurship program, I was like, well, these are the things I learned as a kid. There was no technical, language around it. It was just what we did, And so I really saw this program. I said, they didn't teach anything about this in theological school. There, a lot of things are spiritual, and and there are a lot of fundamentals, in a sense. But this was something that, if you're going to change people's lives and communities and create economic and entrepreneurship activities, how can you not teach this? So I felt like that's where I really found my purpose.
Well, and do you find that in the nonprofit world, there's that lack of education on like the business operation side?
Completely. Right? I mean, in the sense that people were. We recently had an event a couple of months ago, and it was like a no more. What we call it, and I'll talk more about my book, but it was a no more workshop, and one of the people in there in the workshop said, we as nonprofit leaders have been taught how to manage grants, not how to innovate.
I love that.
And that was one of the things that has made me unique, because when I first started Entrenuity would be 25 years old next year, sometime next year. Yes. Thank you. And one of the things that happened when I first started, so I learned how to teach entrepreneurship, but I never had our tagline here at Entrenuity is coaching, connecting, and capitalizing. The coaching is the training side. The connecting is, creating relationships that oftentimes Black and brown nonprofit leaders don't get. And then the capitalizing is where we can find a great opportunity. How do we, either invest our own capital or we create capital connections. We have a deal called Capital Matchmaker. And so those things were really, really important to me. But the nonprofit community, because we're often taught to pursue grants, to pursue donors and all those types of things, we oftentimes miss solving our own problems, which creates an economic opportunity.
Okay, we're going to take a small little break because this is really good conversation. Liv Peterson says yes. Also clapping Brian, of course. And Frequency Event Promotion says, nice tagline. I like that tagline also. That's all good. It's all good. So we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to I want to find out, how did the organization start? How the name came about. I love the name, because that going, how did that name happen? Just other things that they do. So just hang tight for about 60 to 90 seconds, folks, and we'll be back with the conversation. Here we go.
Frequency Event Promotions. FrequencyEventPromotions.com. A network mixer. Hosted by Christopher Lawrence. It all goes down at the Grenette Brewery, located on 245 Ellington Avenue East. This event is for startup businesses. Get your tickets now. FrequencyEventPromotions.com. We design, we promote, and we print.
Graphic design, advertising, and printing company located here in Toronto will be delivering their third business-to-business network mixer, hosted by entrepreneur event organizer Christopher Lawrence. Essentially, this network mixer is pulling together creatives, entrepreneurs, and even 9-to-5ers, individuals thinking about starting a business. The event will be taking place this Wednesday, September 20th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time at 245 Eglinton Avenue East at the Granite Brewery. The major intersection is Mount Pleasant and Eglinton Avenue East. Free parking is available. Refreshments will be provided. And the discussion topic will be how to land targeted clients by utilizing social media. And the facilitator will be Trevor Short, a product marketing leader. If you probably it's too late now, but just register anyways. The first 10 people who register will win 250 business cards. And also you can enter a draw for an iPad tablet. So get your tickets now. Go to frequencyeventpromotions.com/events to make sure you go to that event. Also, too, as I was saying, that if you are on today's show and you make a comment, you have qualified to win a free ticket for this event.
Solid.
So there you go. So some more details here we have at the bottom of the screen. Frequent events, there's the information. Eglinton Avenue East. And for more information, go to frequencyeventpromotions.com/events. Go. So we are back with Brian. And also, just catch up on some comments because I don't like to fall too far behind. Shirley just says, very nice. Okay, so we are back with Brian. So Brian, when I first got the information from Brian, I said, how did this name come about? And I'm going, so can you tell us how the name came about?
Yeah, it was a combination of entrepreneurship and ingenuity. And so there's a good friend of mine, very good friend, long time, a good brother named Pastor Phil Jackson. He will claim that he gave me the name. So this,
all right.
Whoever hears this, Phil knows that. But truth be told, it was like, we had to be entrepreneurial and use our own ingenuity that we've always had. So when I came up with an interesting story, some of us who are a little older remember that in the early days, before social media and things, you had to, when we came up with names and we looked them up, certain, this still happens, many of these URL companies and all those things, they save those names. So when I came up with the name of Entrenuity, I had to buy the name back from a company in San Francisco who had already registered. So here I am thinking, wow, well, this was a unique name, and it was, but they came up with the name first, and because of our mission and what we did, they allowed us to buy it back at that time for a very low price compared to what it could have been.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I have a number of URLs that I haven't used yet that I own.
Yes,
Gotcha.
absolutely.
Yes.
And I would encourage anybody, if you think you have an idea or a name and you search for it, buy it. Because what happens is that name gets tagged and then they save it and then you never know who's going to use it. But I have probably 60, probably 60 or 70 names that I've purchased just to be safe. And sometimes,
Yeah.
after a while you let them go. You're not going to do anything with it, but just remember that they tag that name.
Ownership.
Makes sense. Yes.
Absolutely.
And real quick, sorry, speaking of names, I never asked you what the L stands for in your name.
Lawrence. For my first name is Lawrence. So Lawrence Brian Jenkins is my full name. Yeah.
Who calls you Lawrence?
Yeah.
Well, my dad's name is Larry, so that's who so his name is Larry Samuel Jenkins. I'm Lawrence Brian, but in the Southern tradition, we go by the first initial, then you go by your middle name. Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. That's part of the African-American history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did the organization start? What were the
Sure.
early days?
Yeah, early days were tough. It started on my after teaching. So I taught entrepreneurship for about 7 or 8 years in the field before I ever launched. And the way I got my start with Entrenuity was that me and my friends and a couple, colleagues, we were all working for this large nonprofit organization, and the organization was struggling financially. And so literally we worked there for several months, and then we got a call saying, guess what? You've all been terminated and you're now consultants. And so if you ever been fired from a job, that's how it happened. I lost my job. And after, I've been teaching entrepreneurship, for years. And I said, well, let me figure out if I can actually live out what I was actually teaching to these kids and everything. And so I had a, brief conversation with my wife, and truth be told, she's been 100% supportive of everything that I've done these last several years. And we launched Entrenuity. So I lost my job, launched Entrenuity. I think it was in June of 1999. And then for 4 years, I worked for a state organization here called the Illinois Institute for Entrepreneurship Education, which was a state-based organization. So I was bivocational while I was getting Entrenuity up and running. So I had the skills, I had the experience, and as importantly, I had the relationships, because that state-based organization allowed me to travel the state. And then my mentor, is still a mentor to this day, Reverend Dr. Hazel King, basically gave me the opportunity. She said, because we were all employed only 50% of our time. The other 50% were expected to be entrepreneurial. And so she essentially said, this is an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to, launch this youth division within the state-based organization. And I was able to do that successfully under her leadership.
You mentioned an incredible, you're singing to my choir now, because many entrepreneurs who come to me say, what are some of the key things? And I always say, your relationships are going to make or break you. A lot of people say, I want to make that connection. I say connections are one thing, relationships is the next level. Could you talk a little bit about relationships and how important they are to an entrepreneur's journey?
Relationships are everything, and you have to deliver. The one thing that I found out over the years is, when you have, we can call it relational capital sometimes, because the deal is that once you get into the relationship where I'm at now with some of our investors and some of our donors, it's a handshake. Sometimes there's oftentimes, once you've earned that, what I would say, you've earned the opportunity over a period of time. And so the key thing is that we can reach out, you can call people with ideas, but once you've proven yourself, it's relationship oriented, and that's, for me, what I've been able to do over the years is leverage those relationships and grow those relationships, and then open that relational stack to other people. So just this past week, we had a meeting where I introduced about 10 Black-led nonprofits to one of the premier foundations here in Chicago, because one of the challenges as a Black nonprofit that I've always had was being on the outside looking in. So that's one of the reasons why Entrenuity, as Ryan was saying, we had to do things different, like most Black and brown people. So we have coffee shops, we have this co-working space, we have a software platform in which these are revenue drivers that exist outside of the normal grant process. Truth be told, we didn't even get a federal or state or local taxpayer grant until recent in the last maybe 2 years. So
can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. We just got federal grants because we've always been able to leverage our relationships with private donors and private foundations. So I never had that sense of dependency. You know what I mean? I've always had to figure out a way to innovate and create opportunities because I don't come from that nonprofit, what I would call the nonprofit culture. I don't. What I'd say what we need to do is we need to innovate instead of writing better beg letters. Because the thing is, that's the idea is let's be Black, let's be prolific. Let's be who we are.
Ryan, when are you having him back? Because I'm gonna say there's a number of organizations in this country that.
That's why we had brought Brian for our first Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Conference. So we flew him up here so that he can give that message to entrepreneurs that we work with. I mean, the entrepreneur support organizations that we work with. But that message needs to get broader to all.
That needs to be a consistent message because. I'm just gonna be honest, Dr. Oyew, too many nonprofit organizations who are run by people as we think that gimme thing. And the thing is, the smart organizations find the private or take the money they get from the government to say, okay, after all, we don't need you no more, government. We done.
Leverage it, right?
Leverage it.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Brian. You're gonna.
I think it's a way. So several years ago, I wrote 2 or 3 years ago, I wrote a book called No More Nonprofits, and that's KNOW. And the reason I started that book, I was really sick, fed up, done with the whole deputization system, and I came back from this meeting. It was a pretty bad experience. I was one of the few Black-led nonprofit leaders in a sea of whiteness of evangelical Christian leaders, and some good friends of mine that were at the same meeting heard someone make a comment about these organizations. We are being cut out of the relationship, and they happen to hear it, And so I walked away from that meeting. I said, I'm done. This model sucks. I'm out of here. And I stopped, and I said, no. And writing this article that a good friend of mine and one of our major funders and a great friend of mine named Mark Soderquist. We wrote this article called "Who Gets the Money," and it got published on the Huffington Post, and it was the genesis of me writing my book because what I found out that when I was doing all the research for No More is that when I did this just a quick, it was not a deep research dive, but I looked at 30 organizations in the city of Chicago who are led by Black and brown and also with white-led organizations. And I just looked at the funding discrepancy. And it turned out that in one fiscal year, the Black-led nonprofits received about $1.8 million, while the white-led nonprofits received almost $30 million. And I brought that information back. I said, you know what? This is nonsense. You're talking about qualified, well-run, cultured organizations who know their communities, but at the same time, these white-led organizations were receiving all the money, and it all went back to relationships. Because if you're not invited to the table, and if you're not allowed to tell your story, then that story is oftentimes controlled by someone else, and those someone else's oftentimes have the relationships with the leadership. I call it in my book. I call it tier 1 to tier 1 relationships. I should be able to talk to my funders or my donors on a first name basis. I don't want to just be on the program side. I've done that time. You know what I mean? I've earned that opportunity. But we need to have those relationships that are not controlled and that are not contrived and that are not that are essentially opened up. And that's what that's one of the things I try to do. Here it is something that we acknowledge. I put the data points in my book, and the one thing that you can't argue, you might not like that, you may not disagree, but you can't disagree with the data.
Yeah, exactly. It stares you in the face.
Yes, absolutely.
This is fantastic. Let me ask you, Brian, I guess the challenges that you see a number of Black melanated nonprofits face, have they been consistent during your journey?
In what way? What way?
So when you started off this journey helping out Black nonprofits, the challenges that they faced, are they still the same thing today?
Absolutely. Even more.
Can you list so what those are in your opinion?
I'm going to go back and say it's the relationships. I mean, it is fundamentally the challenge that I see now, even with all the things that we have now with social media, email, texting, everything. If you are, what I say, intentional disinvestment requires intentional investment. So if you are not intentionally creating opportunities and relationships, then I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters, because I have seen this happen. It still happens to me to this day. So the challenges, we have done some amazing things here. We have kind of fast tracked you where we are today. A couple of years ago, we got kicked out of our building, and we've been blessed to be the only Black-owned company that owns our own building on Michigan Avenue in the South Loop in Chicago.
Wow.
So you're talking about, and you can, thank you, and you can check this out online. But the thing is, this was the former home of VJ Records. VJ Records in the 50s was essentially the Motown, of the 50s. And so we were able to buy this building and continue that entrepreneurial legacy, because they were disruptors. That's when music in the 50s, that oftentimes you heard Black voices but white faces, because they didn't think people would buy records, with white, with Black faces. So VJ came into the industry and said, no, we're done with that model. We're going to put Black voices on records. So you're talking about here in the U.S., your Etta James, Etta James came out of here. You're talking about the Beatles. The Beatles were actually signed. This is a fact. The Beatles were actually signed by VJ in this building first before any other label actually signed them. But nobody knows that type of history. So if we don't tell our own history, we don't tell our own story, then no one's gonna do it. Again, we have to be intentional about who we are, what we've overcome, and what we've been able to accomplish. And that's why our story is unique, because when we did the ribbon cutting, the alderwoman here, or maybe it's like, she's over this. Her name is Pat Dowell. She came and she was in tears. She said, "Brian, you realize that by buying this building, you're the only Black-owned company on Michigan Avenue."
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So just going to catch up on some comments here. Our Monday sponsor, Ray McMillan, says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Going back a little, great idea about the URLs, and everyone should register their name as a URL also. I did that a long time ago."
Yeah, I have mine.
Candace Washington says, "Relationship and social capital is key. So great that he leverages his relationships to serve and expose others to opportunities." Also, she says, "Wow, beg letters." Greg perspective. I know people that are going to love what you just said.
Yeah.
And also, Latanya, good to have you, Latanya. This is insightful. Ryan, do you have any questions, comments? Because I got a load, but I don't want to take him away from you.
The one thing that, because Brian knows I'm a big fan of the work that you do, if you can just dig a bit deeper into the entrepreneurship development platform that you've been able to build,
Sure.
Because this is one of the, if not the only, Black-owned and built entrepreneurship platform to help grow businesses.
Sure. Thank you. So we created a tool called StartingUp Now Suite. So think of it like as Google or Office 365 made up of apps that are designed to help the entrepreneur get up and running. And so we just launched our 4th iteration of this, and you can check it out. Our website is called, for that one, it's called StartingUp Now. StartingUpNow.com. And what it is a ecosystem of apps that help first-time and experienced business owners what I say is go from idea to invoice. So the element is this, is that we have learned to leverage apps, from the perspective of if you have an idea, you can learn how to get your idea off the ground. It's a business planning platform on that particular app. That's cool. That's great. But the thing is that most Black and brown organizations struggle with is the financials. And that's where you have spent a lot of time. And so we've created a series of apps within the Starting Up Now suite. And the one that's getting a lot of attention is called Sun, and Sun stands for Starting Up Now, but we call it Sun CFO. And it's literally a platform that allows you to not only take the idea, but also create the financial model around that idea, where you can build out a multi-year projection to figure out if that idea is going to work, that are based on market indices, as well as it's one of the only platforms that I'm aware of that has built into that essentially a valuation tool. Now, it's not it's a valuation tool that you're going to get at a Fortune 500 company, but what I have found is that it's a cash flow based valuation tool that syncs all of the data. Think of this as one app, one location where you're working with your financial plan, your multi-year forecast, but it's solving the problem of making it user friendly, because that's the challenge with a lot of economic tools, is that they're meant for people that have the experience. We want to create tools and resources that are meant for owners and people who are just getting started. And so that's become our new ecosystem. We're getting a lot of attention for it because everything is in one app. It works on Office, it works with Office 365. It works with Google. Google Classroom is our LMS. And we also leverage it with Google Workspace as well. So it's a conclusive tool. And the last app that we're adding is a 13-week cash flow, because a lot of times when you run an organization or a company, you're projecting out 13 weeks. All this data syncs, so you have your information at your fingertips. Because that's the element is making it available, making it user friendly.
Wow. So how did that vision start for that platform? Where did that come from?
And I remember when it was a spreadsheet in 2014, you said we're building this thing, but now it's just in a spreadsheet.
You're exactly right, Dr. Vibe. Literally, these are all spreadsheets that we were using internally. And so a great friend of mine, a good brother named Lyman Howe, we were creating these tools in-house, because people are always saying, how do you know how to run a profitable nonprofit? And so we had designed these tools. One of the apps, which is now called Program Planner, is essentially allows you to put in your costs for your inventory, your supplies, just like you would do anything, but it's designed for people who run programs. And so we had these tools internally because they were developed out of a need. I had to figure out how to become sustainable. And so over time, these are tools and resources that we developed out of our necessity. And then we've actually turned them on in the sense of we met two developers, a great company that we're working with who are our developers called Empowered Tech. And they took the spreadsheets and what I call we appified them. And we've been seeing a lot of, let's just say we've seen a lot of growth over probably the last year as we get more and more people onto the platform.
Okay, I just want to stop here, and there's a number of great things that Knowledge Bombs, our friend, is dropping here. They found a need and filled it. They had a need for something and they filled the need. And also he realized that other people were having that challenge. So they developed this platform, and it's bigger than them. It's not just for them. Absolutely. It's bigger than them. So they realized that their market needed something like this. They had their pain point. They realized their community or their marketplace had that pain point. Entrepreneurs, you want to help your clients with solutions. Right. You're not selling your product or service. Number one thing is you're selling solutions.
Absolutely.
So that was a perfect example of you found out you had a pain point. your organization, you found that solution, say, hey, let's make it's bigger than us. Let's find a way to make it helpful for others. And now through their pain, they're helping solve solutions of other people's pain.
Absolutely.
I hope I'm correct there,
that
Brian.
Kind of segues into the challenge that you're doing now, where you have a platform that can help nonprofits, but the way that you're introducing it to nonprofits is really unique. I'd love to go into that.
Sure. Yeah. So what a couple of weeks ago, actually, it's really a week and a half ago, we launched a deal called the No More Nonprofit Innovation Challenge. And the deal was, I said, you know what, we got to get the word out, like any other company. So what's the best way to do that? So I said, what we're going to do, we're going to give away, you heard me say give, $25,000 to an entrepreneur, to a nonprofit organization that can spend 2 days here in Chicago in our co-working space called Moxie. And we're going to have about the max that we can have is 20 leaders. And you got to come with a problem. We have a deal called an acronym called in-house. We call it PSA: Problem, Solution, Action. Identify a problem, create a solution, and what's the marketplace action you're going to launch. So we're going to have these 20 leaders. We got a ton of applications to apply. And we're going to
what a surprise that you have a ton of applications.
Exactly. And so we're going to do, it's called the No More, it's basically called the Innovation Challenge. And I think the deadline to apply is September 10th. Wait, no, it can't be the 10th. I'll find out exactly in a second. Maybe Ryan, if you could look it up for me and see, or I can pull it up too. But the goal is for nonprofit leaders to apply, identify your problem, and create a solution. And then what we're going to do is that each person is going to get about 5 minutes to pitch, their idea. And then the judges are going to select only one, idea. And then we're going to essentially invest or give up to $25,000 to get that idea off the ground. And the reason why we're doing it right now is because we're going into the new year. And so one of the key things in a nonprofit organization that you should be planning for, if you aren't planning for it right now, is what idea are you going to innovate in 2024? And so this will be these are funds to help kick that idea off, because what's happening in the nonprofit space, people are looking, especially nonprofit foundations and organizations, they're looking for great ideas. I was at a conference years ago from Microsoft. Microsoft said great money follows great ideas. So the idea is that we are looking to say, hey, how can we find, a nonprofit leader? And I'm doing this time around for nonprofit leaders because I want them to think differently. I want you to say, what is that problem and what is the solution that you can create, and how can you help leverage? Certainly they'll have access to SunSuite and all those tools and resources, but how can you get that idea off the ground?
Wow. So let me ask, do you ever get requests from Black Canadians?
Oh yeah. We've got four international applications right now.
Okay.
And
Ryan,
that's not just Canada.
Ryan, we need to put one in.
Where were the applications coming from? I think you said
they come from you know what I'll do? I'll post it up in the chat. But that's what I'll do. I'll post
put in the private chat, and I can put it on put on the main screen.
Got you. Just give
that's fantastic.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll get to that site. But the goal is like anybody. Some of us have had problems and issues and challenges, and believe me, we're still doing it. We still have our challenges every day. But I tell you this, is that these opportunities are right now, particularly for Black and Brown. These are the types of things that I want to be able to give opportunity for, and be able to connect people to real cash, because that's what's needed. We need to innovate. We need economic opportunity. Those are our realities that we all need.
Okay, Brian, I want to ask you an interesting question here. Because of the George Floyd incident, a lot of organizations opened up, if not financially, but at least listening wise to the needs of Black nonprofits. Do you still see that happening? Because in your country, a number of months ago, the Supreme Court ended affirmative action
Oh yeah.
in colleges and universities. And when I saw that, I said, there's going to be a ripple effect
Absolutely.
down the line.
Yeah.
Do you still see those who have money still at the rate, well, over the last few years, we saw the George Floyd.
Sure.
Do you still see the George Floyd effect happening, or is it beginning to do the sunset?
I think it sunset a long time ago. I think there was a lot of verbiage. I think there was a lot of rhetoric. There were some people that came out and said several different things, companies, corporate, that they were going to do, but it's still very much a challenge, to see it actually done, put it like that. I still think that we need to be Black and prolific, and use our innate skill sets to turn challenges into opportunities. I mean, I think certainly if people want to get involved, I would support that, but I'm not waiting on that. I've never had to wait. I've never had those kind of opportunities that are coming now. I'm thankful that particularly my parents, I'll give credit to my family. They when challenges have been tough, it's their economic resources that I can be able to count on, and that's important for me, because we as Black people, brown people, I don't care where you are in the U.S. or Canada, we gotta be resilient. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we got to create our own opportunities that are not controlled by those that don't look like us. I think it was, in fact, when I started this, one of the things I like to say is that some of us remember the biblical story of David and Goliath, right? Mm-hmm. What I compare deputization and government support, financial support, it's like when David, was told by the priest, or actually told by Saul, put on my armor and go out there and fight Goliath. And
put your armor on.
Put my armor, and David gets out there and he realizes he can't move, he can't fight. These are not his weapons. These are not his tools. These are not his resources. He had to take off Saul's armor. Saul meant well. Our allies often mean well, but he had to pick up that rock and pick up that sling and kill Goliath with the tools that he knew, the tools that he was familiar with, the tools that worked for him. That's very similar to what we have to do today. We need to take off the deputization models that certainly can help, but it doesn't lead to economic opportunity. Wealth is not measured. Wealth, I'm talking wealth, wealth, you can't transfer, wealth from a nonprofit to yourself personally, technically. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we want to be able to just create wealth building opportunities. And we have to be able to take on and get, take on. My culture, we say, or a term I'm sure you have in the Canadian culture, you want to take in the meat and spit out the bones. We certainly can have some people that I want to be on our side and work with us. Yes. But at the same time, do not make me to conform to systems and tools that were never, ever meant for us. And no more, I go into the idea that Andrew Carnegie, wherever you come from, how you say it, was the founder of the modern day nonprofit system. But his concern was that he had created a form of dependency that people were. So the creator of this model was concerned that this dependency model was something that he had created, and this is something we're still dealing with to this very day.
Wow, look at that!
All right, just want to catch up. Good morning, Dr. Tachu, who is the host of Mediascope, the livest program online about media tech and pop culture, on 5 p.m. Eastern Times on Instagram on Wednesdays, and then 6 p.m. on Eastern Time Wednesdays on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and all other platforms. She also says, I think that some of the companies were just trying to check off boxes. They weren't serious about actually solving problems or increasing diversity. And Candace Washington, and I hope you're hitting the notification button. She says 100% agree with what Brian is sharing. Brian, do you have a few extra moments? We're in some bonus time now. Okay, absolutely. Fantastic. Brian, anything more you want to check off with, or people have questions, comments? Because I have a few more things I'd like Brian to share with.
No, feel free to go ahead.
Okay, so Brian, how do people find out about your organization these days? Because obviously at the beginning time it was, but it sounds like if all these people are flooding in with applications, how are people finding out about you these days?
A lot of ways. It's very different for us in the sense that because we are made. Think of when you think of Entrenuity, think of like a parent with multiple kids, and so we have the coffee shop. So we have 2 coffee shops, Overflow that's located here on our first floor, and then we also have the Common Cup, which is up north about 10 miles away in Rogers Park. So we have 2 businesses that these are for-profit businesses that Entrenuity, the nonprofit, actually owns. Okay. Then we have Moxie, which is our enterprise level co-working business that's right here where we have private offices and rental space for conference rooms and events. And that's really important for our location because we're located about a mile away from McCormick Center, which is in Chicago where all the major conferences take place.
Nice.
So that's a revenue driver. And then also the Sun Suite, are starting up now. And then, of course, LinkedIn, what you guys said this morning about LinkedIn and the AI, I'm going to look into that because what we have found is that this, and certainly what Dr. Vibe was saying, the lights, the notifications are extremely important, in raising the algorithms. So we do a lot of social media. LinkedIn is my baby. That's where I do a lot of my own posting and things.
Yes,
but also the word on the street is getting out. Google reviews have really helped us as well. So leveraging social media and truth be told, I'm going to learn more about AI myself to see how we can grow the brand in that way as well.
Nice.
Love that.
Nice. Do you think that this is the best time for melanated nonprofits to think about becoming profitable?
Absolutely. I mean, that's you want me to hit that one out the park. Absolutely. My son recently graduated from engineering school. His freshman year, the dean of the engineering school told every student there, you need to know how to run and operate your own business because it's very likely that one day you will. Now, this is the dean of the engineering school saying that. I think right now is the prime opportunity because of the way that we can get connected, the way that we can, when I was walking into the office this morning, I literally was thinking about that I'm walking in, I'm going to be on a show where the 2 brothers are in Toronto. They got a network and I don't know who's going to check this out or listen, but the fact that we can do this right here, right now, whereas 10 years ago, you think about it, maybe 10 years ago, this was not possible. So the ability to find take an idea and turn it into a profitable model, whether it's social enterprise or whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, this is the prime time to actually do that because there's many, many opportunities and you don't want someone to take your idea. Don't be lazy, come into this, find that idea and work that idea over to actually see if you can turn it into a profitable opportunity. And even if it doesn't turn out, I've had businesses that have failed, but you take those things and you learn from them.
Absolutely.
Be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? The other thing I'll say as far as it goes back to relationships is your integrity, and your honesty with people. When I have messed up and I've lost money before, believe me, I have. I went back to my investors and went back with my donors and I didn't BS them. I told them this is exactly what happened. In one situation that I had, we lost a lot of money. The person ended up giving me almost 4 times what I had lost in order for it to write the opportunity. Because he literally said, because you didn't lie, because you didn't BS me, because you told me the truth, I'm not going to only replace what you lost, but I'm also going to give you more in order to get this off the ground. And then he said,
right,
don't do it again.
Right. That was the cost of learning. Yes.
Yeah, it's and that's it. I cannot stress to you,
yes,
and those in the audience, the necessity of integrity and character, especially as we see what's happening in the U.S. here, and how important that is when you're dealing with people and their relationships. Because once you have a relationship that goes south, it can go south, but social media can get it out there a lot broader and a lot quicker as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, you talk to a lot of nonprofits about this sustainability model. What's the resistance that you typically would get as you're trying to, I won't say convince, but you're explaining what's possible?
A lot of times it's ignorance. You know what I mean? And then there's pushback because you're changing models, you're changing systems, you're changing how people how people think. We have a business accelerator here. We call it the Entrenuity Accelerator, essentially, and we have nonprofits that we work with. We identify different leaders. One was an executive with the Girl Scouts here in the U.S. And it was her point that I leverage now. She says we were taught how to manage a grant. I was never taught, how to do a P&L. I was never taught how to take an idea from the formation stage to the actually proof of concept stage to actually getting the idea launched. We as nonprofit leaders were taught how to manage grants. We were taught how to look for the next grant. We were taught how to beg better. You know what I mean? Instead of saying how we can innovate. Don't believe me. We're still a nonprofit. We still seek donate. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to have any pretense here. But when you look at our revenue streams, you see income coming in from our donations and donors and all that. But you also have income coming in from our coffee shops, Moxie, our Overflow After Dark. We do a concert series, here called Overflow After Dark, where we have about anywhere between 30 concerts a year. So these are all different revenue streams that are coming in that support the mission of entrepreneurship. And the other thing too is our building, as I said, is on Michigan Avenue. Our building has increased in value from 2019 almost by 100% from when we paid for it. So we have an asset as well. So you can leverage. We're working to that point where we can leverage the equity to be able to grow our own program. So that's the importance of not only owning your idea, but owning some assets as well. And Startup Now Suite is a for-profit. So we create for-profit solutions.
I got some questions for you. So Brian, let me just put it out there. If an organization came to you who's melanated and they've been a nonprofit for more than 20 years and still relying on government money, what would you say to them?
You have to have multiple streams of revenue that are coming, that are not government, that are not dependent upon the government. You must,
I just want some people to hear that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I just want some people to hear that.
Yeah. And we are a living example of this, and the cool thing about having our building, you can come in and see it. You walk into the coffee shop, you see the private offices, you see Moxie, and you can go to our other coffee shop up north. And then it's our leaders, our staff. I put it like this. We were probably at a $400,000 organization 4 or 5 years ago. This year we'll top out at over 3 million. And
whoa,
and a lot of with thank you. Boom. And I think with about 40 or 50 employees. We were at 7 or 8 employees a couple of years ago. Now we're at 40 or 50. And so and we didn't take ourselves off the tax roll as a building for profit. So we are a nonprofit that owns a building. But if we would have taken ourselves off the tax roll, as most nonprofits do, then we couldn't have for-profit clients coming in, in order to rent our space. And the other thing, our alderwoman, Pat Dow, loves the fact that we pay taxes just like any other for-profit company does. And so we're contributing to the tax base.
To the economy.
And contributing to the economy.
You're a benefit. You're an asset.
Absolutely.
So this is the thing, and I just think this right now, with melanated nonprofits, what value are you adding?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
That's a key question right there.
What value are you adding?
Absolutely. That is so powerful of a question. I mean, Dr. Vibe, what I do when we do our No More workshops, I ask people, why are you a nonprofit?
Wow.
Valid.
Oh,
Brian, you wanted to rumble
no, Brian, why you so mean?
Me?
You're mean. You're being mean.
That's a serious question right there.
Hey,
Okay.
when I asked that question to a group, there were people that were upset with that question.
Of course.
And I said, you know what? If you cannot, I said a nonprofit is simply a legal structure. It is not your business or operation needs a valid reason on why it's a nonprofit instead of a for-profit, especially if you're a Black or brown organization.
Wow. I think you may have blew up the morning vibe online right now with that statement, because there's something I want to add to that, but just Latanya says integrity is everything. Tim Frez says diversity funding, and Dr. Tachi says that's nonprofit done right. One of the things I share when a nonprofit asks me about things, I say there really is no difference between a for-profit and nonprofit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Really and truly, because you both have employees, you both have organizations. It's basically the same. Just because you're nonprofit doesn't mean you can be more lax.
Not. In fact, it's more expensive and more challenging to run a nonprofit than it is to run a for-profit.
Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, it's more expensive and more challenging to run a nonprofit than it is to run a for-profit.
Right.
Because you are not oftentimes in control. We still apply for grants and stuff because we have to sometimes. You know what I mean? And I am not. That's not what I do. I rather spend my time with a client, with a customer, solving a problem, offering our solution, and seeing if we can, essentially collaborate, in a for-profit way together, versus the amount of hours and time you spend on a grant that you have no control over. There's, especially if you don't know them. Literally, since we've been on the call, I got a notification about $100,000 grant. We've applied for this thing 4 times and have not even. We've made it past the LOI, the letter of intention, or I think that's what it is, but we never get the grant. And I'm just like done with the amount of time that we have to spend preparing for that grant versus saying, you take that amount of time, and where's the opportunity cost if you go and try to sell your product or service to another organization? You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that we as nonprofit leaders need to be thinking through. And then if it's a government grant, there's a lot of reporting involved. And so you say, is that reporting, the time involved, really worth that? Depending on the type of the grant, and your mission and all that, is it really worth it for the amount of time versus identifying a solution and launching a business that might be able to solve that problem?
Yeah, I think, and I think this challenge has gone through many, many years. Unfortunately, a lot of our melanated Black melanated non-profit people don't have a business mindset.
Yes.
And that's where organizations like yours come in to say, hold on, you are running a business, not a nonprofit.
Right.
Right there, they've got to get that out of their head.
That's so important.
Yes.
Ryan, go ahead. I got more coming, but go ahead, Ryan. I don't want to take over this.
Well, my mind keeps going to, I know I asked about the resistance that you get from nonprofits, and I was curious, which is more difficult to deal with? A person that is ignorant and just didn't know that a nonprofit can expand their revenue sources, or that board that just loves the begging and loves the system that they're in? I'm curious which one you're able to work with better.
The board that loves that system, because they're ensconced in the way of doing things, the same, doing it like that. And, I understand, I feel where they're at because this has been their business model for years. Okay. But, there's a great book, if no one's read it, but I'm sure most of us have, but called Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Yep.
And if you haven't read that book, it looks at companies that were good and what made them great, and there were some companies that didn't make the leap and they're out of business. And I would say, for example, like we are in an era right now where you have to decide what kind of organization, what kind of company you want to be, and are you meeting your own, what we call your value proposition, your MVP. What is your what is your or UVP, your unique value proposition that you're bringing to the table that no other organization is bringing to the table? And understand, when you write a grant, you're competing with other nonprofits who are looking for the same grant. So, and it's the mindset. We do this. We have a train the trainer coming up, and we're actually sold out for this one in October 3rd through 6th. But we teach people how to use our business simulation game in our Sun Suite. In the business simulation game is you know absolutely nothing about business. So you don't need, all you need to know how to do is work in a team. And the goal is for you to take an idea, of this small little idea, and learn how to basically use this system that we've created that's competitive, like the cash flow game, like Monopoly, and turn this idea into reality. What you don't need to know anything. You just need to be able to communicate with the people in your team. In that game, we teach about 80 different principles, that relate to running and operating a business. And none of those principles are deemed nonprofit or for-profit. They are principles of business operations. And that's what's necessary today, because I don't give a doggone if you're black, brown, white, Asian, whatever, Native American, Native Canadian. If you can't do proof of concept around your idea, you're not ready for this.
What problem is it solving?
Yeah, it's you got to be ready for this. You got to be ready. Look, I spent about, this is my 25th year into doing this, and I'm saying a lot of this. Please don't think we have it all together. I'm reflecting on what we've been able to do, the team, and the beauty of the people that are on the team. I cannot stress to you enough how important leadership is, and leadership with integrity and character. Believe me, we've had challenges when it comes to people and integrity, and I'm at the point right now where I don't have my hands on everything anymore. I have people that run these different operations, and I'm dependent upon their leadership, because I can't touch everybody like I used to in the operational thing. So those things are extremely critical to me. But read Collins's book if you have. It's older now, and then it's just
don't matter.
Yeah, the principles
don't matter.
Foundation.
Yeah, the
with that book, what I love is that he compares it to a similar company, and why one didn't grow and become great, and why one did, and the principles that the good to great companies follow. So it's definitely a great read. And the audio version is really well done.
It's good to know. That's really, really good to know.
Brian, I want you to share with us a little bit about, if you're running a melanated person or that's running a non-for-profit, the importance of the team.
Look, I tell people all the time, our coffee director is a man named Jason Polion, 20 years in coffee, okay? Experience, wisdom, and he knows how to run a team. Christy White is director of operations right now. She knows how to run a team, and then everybody knows, if you don't know, Randy Cragen is my admin, and without Randy, I cannot do most things. People don't understand. If you really saw the background of who runs Entrenuity, you see a lot of melanated, you see a lot of women that are in leadership roles that are absolutely critical. So I am dependent upon the team, and the relationships that I have with the team. Haley Garcia is Pueblo, she's running Moxie, So the thing is, I am nothing without my team. I'm at the point where I can't do what I'm doing now without my team.
Okay. I just want to build on that. I want to see if you agree with this statement. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity, real great opportunity, to go to a presentation with a gentleman who used to be VP of Volvo worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent 4 hours talking about leadership and teams.
That's right.
Okay.
And one of the things he said that I am never going to forget is said, if you have a good team as a leader, they cover your blind spots.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's absolutely critical, because people look at our apps, right? The SunSuite apps, and they think we've done all that. No, we did the Excel side of things, but I'm relying upon the team of people that we have around us to take that concept, turn it into a product, and then sell it, get it out there, which we're still in the process of doing. We can't do nothing by ourselves, and if you think you think you can. This isn't tennis. This isn't wrestling. This is a team sport.
Right. Yes.
This is and sometimes, teams win and sometimes teams lose. And I tell people all the time, if you've never lost any money, you don't understand how important it is to make money. And if you've never lost a client, you don't know how important it is to win a client and keep the client. Because a lot of times, a lot of it is effort. What Dr. Vibe said earlier today, with the business card and with the scanning, sending your contact information, I've seen a lot of people lose because they're lazy. They don't follow up. You know what I mean? What Dr. Vibe said, 48 hours is exactly what we do, but you want to respond in 24.
Yes, under promise and over deliver.
Under promise and over deliver. And a lot of times today, people see what we've been able to do, and they say, because I never quit. And that's the one thing I don't do. I don't quit. And I got a lot of analogies, and I won't go into those, but I think a lot of times you think this is going to happen overnight. No, you got to put some time and some longevity. I tell people, you see all these gray hairs? I've earned every one of them.
And you see, and Jim, Brian, you see this? I earned this too.
Absolutely.
So you're ahead of me. Let me just catch up a little bit here on comments.
Sure.
So, Black Business Live says, put your efforts in what you can control. Love that. Ched C, welcome. Said the great statement, no difference between profit and non-profit. Absolutely. Dr. Tachi, indeed, many black business acumen. Also, some believe that you can get all these grant money for your nonprofit. Applying for a grant doesn't guarantee you're going to get it. Leslie asks the name of the book. It is Good to Great by Jim Collins. Cass Lou, welcome, Cass Lou. Blessed Day, 100% nonprofit does have some challenges, and the way they have to depend on grant funding. They also have to make sure they meet the goals to get the funding. Cass Lou says, again, some succeed and some fall short. When fall short or do not have the integrity, no funding. This can overshadow those doing the right thing or are successful nonprofits. She also says, so true. Follow up important. Follow up and follow through. Not just follow up and follow through.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Good to great, not grains. Good to great. Haven't eaten yet. Don't make me think about eating grains. And also Shirley J says, let's see if it's going to come up. There's a question for you. Is it going to come up? Come on. Well, she has a question. What was your strategy in selecting your team? Good question.
Yeah.
To answer that question directly, it was character and competence. It was finding people who are good character people, and they have the competence to do their job. Truth be told, you can have a lot of good-hearted people, but they oftentimes they won't help you pay the bills. You want to have people who know who are great people, great character, great integrity. They're honest, but then also that they know how to do their job. And oftentimes it's through relationships. This is something I've had to grow in, because we're now at the point where I don't know everybody I hire or the team hires. So I have to trust that Jason, Napoleon or Josh, who runs our coffee shop here, they do all those hiring decisions. We have an HR department that we background check and all those things, but it's their determination. Does that person fit within, and can they do their job? I have this, I'll just show this. This is our people often ask me, I'm big on this. Do your job. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's the bottom line. And this is what we say for Moxie. But people know we have these little taglines around the building. And these are sayings that come from not only myself, but different entrepreneurs. And so I would say going to answer that question directly, character and competence. And then also for me, it's been long-term relationships of trusting the people that I hire to hire people that can, that have those characteristics.
I'm thinking here, should I share something that I use when I'm looking to hire people? Should I do that?
Yeah. Sure.
One of the questions I ask potential people who are going to join my team, who's the smartest person you know and why?
Okay.
I'm just going to leave that there. But a lot of times when I ask that question to people, they're stunned. They're going, what? What are you asking that for? It tells me a lot about what that person likes in a leader.
Absolutely.
And if there's alignment or not.
Absolutely.
So I just going to let that. What do you think about that question, Brian?
I think it's great. I mean, you quickly find out when you're in a leadership role that you're usually not the smartest person in the room, and for me, I have a great team of people that are around me that make us all look good. You know what I mean? But they know the role and they know their assignment, so to speak. And that's the thing that's really important for me, is knowing that I could trust those that are this team of people that work together, and we celebrate our successes, and we review our failures. One of the things that I'm proud of that we do is that we pay pretty well for a nonprofit, because I value, and I'm going to try, and because you attract a certain level of talent, and you retain that talent, if you're able to keep that talent. And so we're doing things like this coming year. We're going to be adding a match to our 403B, so we can essentially keep and attract talent. So if you don't have the mindset, from the very beginning that you're going to compete, well, I know we're in competition. Yes, understand, although we're a nonprofit, we compete every day.
Of course.
And so that's the one thing that, as any other business owner realizes, you're in competition. Just because you've been designated as a nonprofit by no means that you're not in competition with like-minded, well-intentioned organizations that are just like you.
That's so again, big out there.
What's your unique value proposition? What do you do differently that nobody else does? And if you can't answer that, then you need to, step back.
Those two questions, like, why are you a nonprofit? And if you are going to go that path, what is that UVP, that unique value proposition? Those two I'm going to definitely keep with me, because those are important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Brian, we know you got a lot more things to do today than hang around with these two Black Canadians. So we don't want to, but no, we want to thank you for everything you and your organization have done, are doing, and will be doing going in the future. If anyone wants to reach out to Brian, I'm going to put I put his contact information throughout the conversation. I would make a suggestion. You may just want to reach out to him and just say, hey, saw you on the Morning Vibe, and just like want to chat, because I'm going to be doing that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But you know what I'm going to ask Brian? Says, how can I help him? And that's another thing too. If you're working with a nonprofit, it should just be about you.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're in a nonprofit. If it's about you, don't waste the time.
Yes.
Don't waste the time. Got some few other comments incoming here late here. Shirley J says, great insight. Thank you. Frequency Event Promotion says, looking forward to going over this conversation replay. Yes, I think it'd be a good idea. And Dr. Tachi says, look, having some jiggly things. She's saying great show. All right, let me just get to some other things. So Brian, I'm going to put up the link for the 2K challenge, if it will come up, because you did give it. So we're going to wait. But what is the organization looking for, the next big thing the organization is looking to get done other than the 2K challenge?
Yeah, that's $22,000 right now. But we've actually got a little bit more, and I haven't even announced. So you guys are finding out that we got 25,000, not the 22 first. We'll be pushing that out tomorrow. Next thing is really for us, we're doing some restructuring. We're going through a deal called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's called EOS, and we're at a different place, than we were 5 years ago. So we're having to restructure roles. I mean, the reason I'm doing a lot more of podcast interviews, the mission, those types of things versus the day-to-day operations. So as we go through this process, this is new for me. You know what I mean? So I'm the vision caster. I've been doing this for a long time, and that's my role versus that of meeting with my staff every Monday. I used to meet with my staff of other divisions. Now I don't do that. Chrissy does that for me, and this was actually freeing me up to tell the mission and the vision.
Get your time back.
Absolutely.
Get your time back.
Yep.
It's interesting when I ask entrepreneurs periodically, what's more important to you, making money or getting your time back? More and more of them are saying time.
Absolutely.
Time is infinitely more valuable than money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because time never lost a fight.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, Jim, we're going to let you go. I'm certainly going to be in contact with you. Thank you for going above and beyond, because we've had you on for a while. And people, don't you think he has a few things to do during his day?
Agreed. Yes.
And also, Ryan, I want to thank you for introducing our family to Brian. Just fantastic. And we'll be interesting to see who's going to be the first person to reach out to him. I've already done it, but I'm going to be doing that also today, because I can learn from someone who's way ahead of me. Right? There's something to be said about one experience is one thing, but evaluated experience.
Well, you guys are doing great work. Don't minimize what you're offering. I mean, this is what we needed because of technology, and this is one of the reasons why I wrote my book, No More Nonprofits. The tagline is, or the subline, moving from dependency to sustainability. These are the things that I wish we would have had when we launched, because if you don't have any coaching or guidance, sometimes you don't know, and I was in that boat, so yeah.
Wow. So Brian, thank you.
And
continue blessings to you, the family, the team. And two last things: don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brian. Have an outstanding day. Thanks for making all our days better.
Thank you for the opportunity.
My bless. All right, this was epic.
Yes, sir. Man,
epic conversation today. All right. Okay, a few last things here.
Thanks, Dr. Tachi.
Dr. Tachi, great show. Frequency Event Promotions. We tip off our hats to Dr. Vibe and Ryan Oneil. You are bringing immense amount of expertise. All of us are, because it's our evaluated experience. Cass Lou, who used to watch me on Instagram, now is part of the YouTube family. Yes, great information, great show. Thank you, appreciate it. Think Fitness IQ says, the app is having a little bit of a challenge today, but she says, thank you. All right, so what we're going to get to next is, as I said at the beginning of our conversation today, everyone who came on today's show and made a comment qualifies for a free ticket for the event on Wednesday. So we haven't done this for a little while.
Right.
You know what I'm going to bring up?
The giveaway thing, right? You have it loaded? Yes.
I remember. All right, let me just bring up the giveaway tool. And my apologies, the software is a little buggy today, so I'm hoping that we're able to bring it up. So let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to do it right now. Put it up. Good. Share. All right, we have 19 entries.
Solid.
Now, if you win, tell us if you're able to go or not. If not, in the chat, just say can't make it. Or you may be the tool to come up here. A little bit buggy here. Okay, we're waiting for it. You know what? There we go. All right. So Here we go. Draw time. Tim.
Yes.
Frey to the event. Okay, we're having a little bit of wonkiness here. Can you hear? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. And then I think you're saying
Okay.
winner Tim Frey. It's showing on the screen.
Tim Frey. There we go. Tim Frey.
Yeah.
So Tim, if you can't make it, notify us. But Tim Frey is the winner.
Solid.
All right.
Nope. And I think Dr. Vibe put himself out of the show, but and I wouldn't be able to end it. So we're gonna go until he comes back. And congratulations to Tim Frey. Shout out to Brian. What's happening this week? We are continuing. We had a conversation about the Black Canadian think tank on Friday. So Tuesday is our study group. If you want to join us to learn more about the Black Empowerment, the Canadian Black Empowerment Initiative, we're definitely going to have our part 2 to the conversation. It's looking like it's going to be October the 22nd at JCA, the Jamaican Canadian Association.
Okay, we're back.
Then. Yes. I knew I can't end the show, so it was going to go until you came back.
No problem. Okay, so Tim says he can't make it, so I'm going to do another giveaway.
Your draw again?
But
okay,
I'm not
nice,
going to.
nice.
I'm not going to show it on screen. Seems to be a little of a challenge putting it on the screen. So let's see if we can get another winner. It says Tim Frey again. Tim, are you dominating this thing?
Yeah. How many comments did he put in there?
If we get the same thing again, I'm just going to say the. Candace Washington. Can you make it?
Good stuff, Candace.
I don't know. We've never met, so I don't know if you're Toronto based or not. But you know what? Candace Washington, do this. If please email Frequency Event Promotions and put Morning Vibe in the subject line with your full name, email address, and phone number, and we will make that happen. All right. So we are done here. Epic conversation today. Thank you, everyone, to make it out today. You can watch it live with the replay. So a few other last things here. So as always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Also, wherever you see Ryan owning a platform, do that, please. Please follow and like him too. He's the media star. I'm just the guy. I'm just the guy. Also, to advertise on the Dr. Vibe Show, please email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, want to encourage you to join the Morning Vibe Discord group where we continue the conversation when we're not live. Email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Again, for those who can make it, Wednesday, Frequency Event Promotions Mixer, 6:30 p.m., 245 Eglinton Avenue East at the Granite Brewery Major Intersection, Mount Pleasant and Eglinton Avenue East. If you want to find out more information about it, go to frequencyeventpromotions.com/events. And that's the rest of your week, Ryan.
I was mentioning as you were jumping in and out, we have our study group tomorrow because last Friday we did our Canadian Black Empowerment Think Tank conversation. So that we're going to kind of talk more about at the study group Tuesday night. And we're looking like the next conversation is going to be October the 22nd on the west side. Friday was in Scarborough at the C Center, and it's a magnificent space. If everybody hasn't been there on 75 Thermos Road, so check out C Center for Youth Empowerment. And we're going to do it at the Jamaican Canadian Association on Arrow Road in October. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Excellent. So as always, you can watch replays of the Morning Vibe on YouTube and Facebook, the Dr. Vibe Show, Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight, LinkedIn and YouTube. So as we roll off after this epic conversation, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. I don't think we have a guest for Friday yet, but it don't matter because we always bring up things and you guys make the show. It's all about you. And remember, a week from today, if I'm not mistaken, yes, we have David Archer back. So everyone remember David.
Upcoming Monday?
Yes, he's coming about a week from today. David Archer's back. Black psychotherapist who many of you went crazy over when he was on the first time. And I believe the topic he's going to be talking about is whiteness is fake.
Oh boy, here we go. Hey, looking forward to
it. And Brian's in the green room. Brian's laughing and smiling at that. He's going to like that. So,
yes.
Did I say this? Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Tell people about the show, spread it, like it, etc., etc. And
please and thank you.
Yeah, God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. We'll see you on Friday or somewhere in between.